Welcome, angry faithful, to the Wednesday What the Hell episode where we go over stuff and Bill just ruins everything.
You just said to the Wednesday podcast. Redo that.
I did, didn't I? Welcome to the What the Hell Friday episode of What the Hell, where we talk about political bullshit that we found in the internet that just happens to be whatever we find. Main thing that I want to talk about right now is the elephant in the room. Johnny misspoke on Wednesday, and I made a clip, and that was my fault. I just put up the clips. Sometimes I review them, I listen to them and everything, and then I'm like, oh, that sounds okay. I should have went and did my due diligence. So sometimes I do, but it happens. And we are going to backtrack a little bit. Jelly Roll is a violent offender. What he didn't get to say on Wednesday's podcast is Jelly Roll is a violent offender. The Tennessee governor is in the process of pardoning Jelly Roll, and he even said on the podcast with Joe Rogan that a lot of his stuff, he will still not be able to use a firearm because of the rules in Tennessee. I apologize. I apologize for everything on that one. That was my bad. But we're going to move on. Again, I'll probably have him make an editorial or something like that because, he loves those. Anyways, but moving on to hold on real quick. Anyways, what we're the main topic we're going to talk about is Judge Don't Care. The reason why I said that is because this happened more or less a couple of weeks ago. News circulates it sometimes a little bit slow. This is a news article that wasn't really talked about all too much, but this happened in Minnesota. In Minnesota, the $7.2 million mailbox that was how prosecutors described to the jury, the supposed Office of Promise Health LLC, the home health care company owned by, I am not going to be able to say that word, Yusuf. I can say his last name, Yusuf, on Central Avenue in Minnesota, where several other similar businesses were supposedly located. Jurors saw dozens of checks written to Yusuf's wife, family members, and a $1.1 million in the bank transfer, cash withdrawals to himself. Money Promised Health received through state Medicare reimbursements for claiming to provide personal care and assistance to PCA services. The jury saw it as fraud, convicted Yusuf of 6 counts of theft by swindle. That's an old one. Swindle? I've never heard that in a court case. They got swindled. Usually it's fraud, but we're gonna go with it. Swindled. It was not a difficult decision whatsoever. The deliberation took probably 4 hours at most, based off the state's evidence that was presented. It was beyond a reasonable doubt. The jury, 4-person Ben Wolfer, who is part of the jury. What the jury did not know is that before they deliberated, Judge Sarah West tossed out the top charges of racketeering. See, also racketeering. Swindled. Never swindled, but racketeering, I've heard. Then 3 months after the verdict, Judge West made a rare move of tossing out, also giving Yusuf a judgment of acquittal with a circumstantial case, there has to be no other rationale hypothesis other than guilty, said Paul Young, a former prosecutor and current defense attorney not connected to this case, who analyzed the ruling. Judge Young said Judge West's decision stems from a strict review standard for cases that involved mostly circumstantial evidence. Sorry, guys. Tongue-tied. The jury is not asked to consider that standard, but appeals courts do. And Young said in this case, Judge West based her decision on it. Now the Minnesota Attorney General is the party that is appealing the verdict rather than the defendant. Judges analyze these cases, look not just at proof beyond reasonable doubt, but whether guilty is only reasonable hypothesis. In other words, if there is another reasonable explanation that could be the reasonable doubt, Young said. Prosecutors disagree with Judge West on what evidence should be considered circumstantial. But the fraud scheme that they had alleged had been other problems as well. Court records show other Hespin County judges tossing related cases before they reached trial. So, yeah, that happened.
There is a reason that you hear the word swindle.
Why a swindle? I've never heard swindle in a court case at all.
Because statutory offenses in states Minnesota, Florida, and Nevada have swindle in their name. Minnesota frequently prosecutes theft by swindle. Minnesota statute 609.52. That is why you're hearing swindle a lot. If you were in Minnesota, you would hear swindle a lot. We're in Texas. Thank God.
Okay. Here's the okay, and this is just my opinion on this. And I'm not a judge, I'm not a lawyer. I studied a little bit of law, but that's about it. That doesn't make me a lawyer.
Do we need to put a disclaimer in the description of the video?
No.
That we are not lawyers.
This is just opinion. What this probably stems from, and I apologize. But what it seems that the jury already had a verdict. She did not have any kind of right. I mean, judges do have rights to dismiss a case as they see it if they have new evidence, but they have to vocalize that evidence. And she did not vocalize any kind of evidence of it. And the case should have been closed. One, he was trialed by a jury. And two, it just looks bad on the whole Minnesota problem that we're having right now. When a judge just dismisses something, even though a jury, as they were given all the evidence, and the jury said, you know what? He's guilty. And in cases like that, it's up to the jury. It's not up to the judge after that. A lot of the cases.
It sounds like you're assuming that Democrats hadn't taken over our court system and that our court system actually is based on legality.
There's a lot of stuff that proves that. But in this case, because of the location that it is in at, and I'm choosing my words wisely. We'll get into that a little bit later. I'll choose my words wisely. Because if you think about it, there are it isn't in the party standard. Okay, right now we are having a lot of stuff that is popularized party judges. Okay. The thing about it is it should be coming of evidence, especially if it's right there. So it's just sad that this is happening, that the judges are trying to be popular and going against certain aspects because the way they feel. But when the evidence is there and the jury sees it, it's there. Anyways, our next thing we're going to talk about EU chat control. Bill, would you like to go fully on this one?
Well, I have to do some breaking news first in case someone wants to break away from our wonderful program. Trump has just gone live in Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
Okay.
Trump is back doing rallies.
Okay. Go with the EU stuff.
Well, the EU for years, the EU is going nuts right now, especially Trump's latest thing of he's trying to make the people in the EU proud of their individual countries, and right now you've got a big divide. Instead of just the people who are proud of being part of the EU, you're getting a lot of people now who basically want the EU to be its own country. They want to get rid of borders. There is no France, there is no Spain, there is no Germany. It's just the EU. And there are a lot of people going that far with it. And we don't want to be a part of that. And, that case with, I think we talked about it with Elon getting sued big time from the EU, and they're going after everyone over here. Well, one of the things that they have been trying to do for years and years is chat control. And our Electronic Frontier Foundation has been trying to actually fight it, but they're getting real close. And what they would have to do if this thing got actually went forward in its form that it has been in, if passed in its current form, it would require email and messenger providers like Gmail, Outlook, WhatsApp, and Signal to install a scanning AI, implement vetting technologies on users' devices to inspect messages before they are encrypted. Compare against databases, automatically check all of your photos and files against government databases for known illegal material. Mandatory reporting, automatically flag and report suspicious content to a new EU center, which then forwards it to the national police. And then the thing that's going on right now in Australia, the mandatory age verification for digital services. Effectively ending anonymous use of email and messaging. Yet, you talk to the idiots over there, oh, we believe in free speech. We're a lot more free than your country. Really?
No.
Yeah, and I'm getting into that with a lot of X posts.
When's the last time you heard anybody in the United States get arrested for a post on Facebook or something like that wasn't like a terrorist attack?
But Trump is clamping down on the media, so that means we don't have free speech, even though they're manipulating everything he says. He's clamping down on it, so it means we don't have free speech. And that's what I bring up. You can bring up the 60 Minutes episode in Germany where they were chuckling and proud of how many thousands of people that they had just arrested for tweets or posts that were offensive. Not just offensive, not even hate speech anymore. It starts out to protect the children, then it goes on to hate speech, and now it's offensive. So that slippery slope is sliding fast.
Yeah. I wish I could get rid of these. Hold on, let me. Anyways, yeah, I just watched a video a couple of days ago about Canada saying that nobody listens to Trump. Everybody's moving to Canada, which everybody's moving to Florida. That's from Canada, and the gaslighting is so bad that it shouldn't even be called gaslighting. It should be just called, hey, we're going to lie to you. You're going to have to listen to it. Because that's what happens.
Well, in the legislation they're trying to use for chat control, there is an exemption to it. Some drafts of the proposal have reportedly included exemptions for EU politicians and state communications.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine that.
So propaganda's okay from your government.
And here's the
propaganda from any government is no.
Well, here's why it's controversial. Breaks encryption. Your CSS effectively undermines end-to-end encryption, creating vulnerabilities for mass surveillance. Well, yeah, no shit. Privacy and freedom leads to indiscriminate monitoring, violates fundamental rights, chills free expression, harming journalists. False positives. Technology isn't perfect. Scanning billions of messages creates massive false positives. Overwhelming authorities. Sets a dangerous example for authoritarian regimes. Yeah, this kind of thing, Australia would look at it and go, hey, yeah, and Canada would want to be a part of it, and UK would want to be a part of it. So it wouldn't just be the EU if this thing caught on. So it's the amount of censorship's absolutely insane. And the EU, I've been following the EU. Ursula made a speech yesterday, and they're going all in. Now there's some variables going on here, but there are frozen Russian assets, right? That they've been using. They can't use the assets because of the vote of the EU. It requires unanimous vote for their charter. So they can't use it, but they've been using the interest off of it. Okay, that's okay. But they borrowed money against it. So it's frozen Russian assets that they can't use that eventually should be returned to Russia, and they borrowed money against it.
Oh, shit.
And Trump came out and said, okay, the next Ukrainian Russia-Ukrainian ceasefire deal, we need to return the Russian assets. Returning Russian assets need to be part of that deal.
Yeah.
So what I said last week about France and the French AI, being afraid of them because they're going to grow this and that and this and that. If that money gets returned, their whole banking system is going to crumble, since it's a lot of it is based on it. No one would trust it. No one's going to trust to invest in Europe. And that has fueled more of, because Trump did that, more of, we need to be one country, not just EU and they're part of the EU.
Yeah,
it's more like EU.
They want to be aristocratic United States.
No.
The EU.
That's why they have opened the borders. The World Economic Forum, the United Nations people are the ones pushing this crap, and that's why they've opened the border, flooded everything. They don't want, like the United States, individual states. They want one big country.
Yeah.
They do not want individual sovereignty for the countries. And yeah, Trump's coming out and he says, I support the AfD. He's supporting the conservative movements, and that's all bad. But then, like I mentioned about a month ago, Obama came out with a video on his X feed showing how he's trying to get rid of Hungary's Orban and Poland, their conservative government, which they're the cleanest countries over there. They haven't been inundated by the mass migration. And he's trying to get, so they say, oh, Trump's trying to work. Yeah, but what about Obama directly with the foundation working on it?
Yeah, well,
that's a little bit more than just making a statement. But then Obama, also when Netanyahu was up for election long time ago, I don't remember which one it was, he had people in Israel trying to keep Netanyahu out. Yeah, Obama meddles. So don't give me this self-righteous, oh, Trump's meddling.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Well, we actually have news. This happened just a couple hours.
Now, we begin tonight with President Trump's response to last week's killing of 2 American service members and a civilian interpreter in Syria. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth calls new airstrikes tonight in Syria a declaration of vengeance against ISIS terrorists. We have Fox team coverage on the breaking story. Trey Yanks is in Tel Aviv with reaction to the strikes, and Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin starts us off with what we know here in Washington. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Brett. A senior U.S. official tells Fox the U.S. military has struck more than 50 ISIS targets in the past 2 hours following the president's order to, quote, hit them hard after the killing of 3 Americans Saturday, 2 members of the Iowa National Guard and their civilian translator, by a member of the Syrian security forces. U.S. Central Command launched a massive strike on dozens of ISIS targets in an operation called Operation Hawkeye Strike. Iowa is the Hawkeye state. The strikes took place at multiple locations across Syria. The targets include ISIS infrastructure and weapons storage sites. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth tweeted, quote, this is not the beginning of a war. It is a declaration of vengeance. The United States of America under President Trump's leadership will never hesitate and never relent to defend our people. Sergeant William Nate Howard, 29 of Marshalltown, and Sergeant Edgar Torres Tovar, 25 of Des Moines, and their civilian interpreter, Ayad Mansour Sakat of Michigan, returned home in a dignified transfer Wednesday at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, where they were met by the president. The December 13th attack, which took place while a senior U.S. military commander was meeting his Syrian counterparts near Palmyra in central Syria. Afterwards, Syrian security forces helped carry out 10 partnered operations across Syria that led to the death, we're told, or detainment of more than 24 ISIS-affiliated individuals. The U.S. provided support during those raids. Those raids, Brett, led to the confiscation of electronics and individual interviews that resulted in the intelligence used for this operation to locate potential targets. A CENTCOM review is ongoing into the exact affiliation of the Syrian gunman who joined the security forces just 2 months before. The gunman was in the process, Brett, of being removed from the Syrian military for suspected jihad.
Okay. Now, saying that, there's a phrase, and this is from ancient Rome, civis Romanes. You know what that means, Bill?
No, I don't. Civics, it's learning about the government in Rome.
Bill.
Huh?
You said no. It means anytime you touch a Roman citizen, Rome goes after you. It means don't touch Rome. We need civis Americano. It means basically you don't touch anybody American. You touch one hair of America, we go scorch fucking earth. And that's what it means. Civis Americano. We'll use that. It's Latin-ish. But yeah.
But are we sure that that we didn't strike like innocent Uber drivers?
I'm going to take that as go fuck yourself, Bill. I don't care.
Oh, well, you know, it's like how we're blowing fishing boats out of the water. So the liberals will say you're hitting innocent Uber drivers.
No, I get the joke, Bill.
I don't. Hey, I
Here's
don't necessarily think it's a joke. It would not surprise me. Maybe not Uber drivers, but it would not surprise me if they don't come out and try to come up with some innocent citizens are being hit. Even though Obama, blew citizens away right and left, and that was no big
oh
deal.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, come on. Come on. We can go ahead. We need to find out just for the people, if Trump blew up a wedding. Because yeah, Obama did that. Hell, Obama killed United States citizens. Little kids. I wish that when I read that, I was like, oh, it's just someone making this up. And I found like 7 articles saying the same thing, that I was like, they were US citizens. What do you think you're doing? And they were kids. More of that, and I was a blind eye for the longest time looking at this stuff. And then I started researching it more, and I'm seeing how horrible a lot of the things were back in a little bit longer ago. But yeah.
Well, I did get a hit on, did Trump blow up a wedding?
Did he really?
Reports indicate that he has a habit of crashing weddings, particularly those held at his properties. Remember, I think I said last week about how Gemini AI, I didn't use my friend Grok. I just did a Gemini on Google search on that. And it's so biased against Republicans that it's just unreal. And that's what it came up. He didn't blow them up, but he crashed them. That's actually how it was put. Did Obama blow up a wedding? Yeah, on December 12th, 2013, drone fired in a convoy of vehicles. Casualties, 12 to 15 people were killed, at least 14 injured. Targeting error. U.S. intelligence mistook the wedding party for Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula convoy. And that's what...
An error?
Huh? Targeting error.
Yeah, right.
Now...
There's a lot of those targeting errors.
Now, no shit. Okay, I'm a member of cruising groups, and I have seen people afraid to take a cruise, even someone canceling a cruise because they're afraid the cruise ship will accidentally be hit.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
Drug boat, fishing boat, cruise ship.
Okay.
I think our targeting systems could see that.
Okay. You're absolutely wrong. And I wish you weren't wrong.
That we could hit a cruise ship?
Hear me out. Okay. Hear me out. Back in during the war, there was a couple of friendly fires with howitzers and mortars and everything. They were firing on the wrong location, and they had GPS locations on the soldiers at that location, and the targeting almost hit them. Luckily, all of them survived, but if they didn't like dive and dodge fast enough, they would probably died. But yeah, it technically happens more often than none. I mean, there's videos of warships, those anti-air machine guns.
Yeah.
That target, they'll go after like 747s. They'll target them, but they still have to have a button to fire, and but it targets them automatically. So could it happen? Yeah. I'm sorry to say this, Bill. It could happen. It's not, it happens more than it should.
Well, not necessarily with, with our government hitting them, but cruise ships are doing pirate drills.
Oh yeah, they've been doing that for a while now.
Cunard's Queen Anne involved in mandatory passenger instructions. Now, okay, we do evacuation drills, but I've never been on a cruise ship where they're actually doing pirate drills.
I want to be on that fucking cruise.
Instructions to close curtains, turn off lights, stay off decks at night, and gather in hallways during pirate alerts.
Oh fuck, I would be the total opposite. You need to get back to your room. I fight pirates. It would take so much for me to get off that fucking deck. Like, we're having a pirate drill. I know. I have a knife. I want to fight pirates so bad. I've been wanting to, and this is the shadiest thing that I've ever heard of. Would I ever go on one of these things? No, because it sounds shady. It sounds like as soon as I touch land in the United States, back onto United States soil, I would be arrested. But they do have pirate cruises where you can shoot Somali pirates. Unfortunately, we're at war. We're kind of like not liking the people that are partied of it, because it's Russian and China that are doing it. But we need that kind of capitalism.
Well, one, you're not going to get on a cruise ship with a knife. Two, did you know? I didn't even know what a zombie knife was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's UK bullshit. Zombie knife is basically a knife that it is not a zombie knife. It has anything that has like, I can't believe I'm gonna have to reference this. There's a YouTube channel with three Down syndrome guys, okay? And it's a cooking show. The knife on there, it says chop on it. It just bear with me. It said, and I've referenced this on Wednesday, but it says chop on it. Because it says chop on it, it's illegal in the UK, not because of the knife itself, but because it says chop. But if you have a regular knife that's, stamped, you're perfectly fine as long as it doesn't have any warning on it. That's in the UK.
Right. And just possession is 6 months.
Yeah.
In public, 4-year maximum. And they're trying to make a change to a crime and policy bill that would increase private possession to 2 years if you own one.
Yeah.
And there is a celebrity chef and some famous Hollywood type person who is pushing for a ban on pointed knives in home kitchens. A celebrity chef that says people in their home kitchens do not need a knife with a point, and they think it will cut down on stabbings.
Technically, as a cook, I'm trying no, you need the point.
I pick up a roast and turn it around. I'm going to use a point.
Okay, you can get, they have like, okay, bear with me. Okay, you're using the point because you're used to it. They have like claw grabbers to where you can grab it a little bit better and turn it around and flip it. But in all reality, and I'm saying this only because I know how to do the decorative stuff, you do need the point for that. If you're decorating in your home kitchen, I don't think you're going to be decorating. I mean, if you want to be fancy, but that's just you're stopping people's creativity after that. And that's just me.
I have a tool for brisket for manipulating brisket. That is, I mean, you don't touch anything with it. It's to a point. It's a sharp point.
Is it a knife though?
No, but it's got a sharp point. I could
It's
stab with it. I'm sure they would make it illegal.
that okay. Here's the thing with visual. Okay, those fork knives, or not fork knives, but the fork, the big forks. I forget what they're called. Hey, we'll just call it fork. They're big forks. They're about this long. You can stab somebody with those, but it's not sharp. So I'm guessing it could be, you could use it. But here's the thing. After saying all those things and saying that chef might be right and wrong at the same time, suck it up, Buttercup, and fucking shut up. Now, here's another thing that's happening with stupid laws. The thing that happened in Australia.
Oh, can I make one more point about the cruise ships?
No.
They are Somalis who are the pirates.
I said that, Bill.
You said Somalis?
Yes.
Oh.
Anyways. Australia had a mass shooting last weekend. We didn't get to cover it because it was on like when it was the let me get okay, there we go. The mass shooting in Australia was on no, it doesn't show. That was 2018. Apparently they still have mass shootings. This is just the biggest one here lately. I guess it was Sunday. Here's the thing. It was a horrible travesty. I understand what those people are going through. I mean, it is horrible what happened. But what they're doing now is they're restricting more citizens' gun rights. And that's Australia, not United States. And I commend the man that came in, and that man that saved those people's lives by tackling the shooter who was shot by the cops because they didn't know. But it took 25 minutes for the cops to show up. And it took an unarmed man to tackle the person. He was brave man. But he could have stopped it a lot faster if he had a gun. Just saying. But they're trying to restrict more guns in Australia right now. And anytime something like this happens, what is this, Bill?
Yeah. This was the first video that I watched after the incident, shooting.
I'm looking at it. Does it have like gore in it?
No. This is a statement, and this is one of several people I listened to in Australia, and they are really, really pissed.
Okay, go ahead and send it.
That has been.
Until last night, this was the Prime Minister who's often seemed more concerned to criticise Israel than crack down on out-of-control Jew hatred here in Australia. Prime Minister who positively gloated on the world stage about recognising Palestine, while failing to recognise that in doing so, he left Australian Jews feeling vulnerable and abandoned.
Right now, Gaza is in the grip of a humanitarian catastrophe, and the Israeli government must accept its share of responsibility.
For 2 years, this Prime Minister and his ministers have found it almost impossible to mention anti-Semitism without coupling rampant anti-Semitism with an almost non-existent Islamophobia. He couldn't appoint an envoy into anti-Semitism without also appointing one into Islamophobia. And 5 months on, there's been no adequate response from the government to Gillian Siegel's report. There's been no crackdown on the universities that tolerated anti-Semitic encampments. There's been no stronger laws through the parliament to address anti-Jewish hate speech. The number one job, as I said, of any Prime Minister is to do whatever is needed to keep citizens safe. John Howard knew that when he stood before the mob following Port Arthur, when he took on many of his own supporters, but that's what leadership is about. The Prime Minister, by contrast, this Prime Minister wouldn't know what leadership is. He's got no trouble going to sporting events and concerts, the footy finals and all those overseas trips. He had a week's break off after those UN meetings. He's even had time to get married, but he can't find the time to respond to his anti-Semitism report. It is appalling. Whatever you want to call it, it is not leadership. On national security, Anthony Albanese is wanting. Before he was elected PM, indeed, he had never touched any defence or security portfolio in his 25 years plus in the federal parliament. And it shows. Who can forget that one of his first acts in the job was to throw the federal police chief and the ASIO boss out of the National Security Cabinet room? And doesn't that just say everything about his priorities?
And the Jewish community are hurting today. Today, all Australians wrap our arms around.
It's fine and it's good to say, let's wrap our arms around our Jewish Australians. But what about just protecting them better? What about doing more to uphold Australian values with which the recent outpourings of anti-Jewish hate are so at odds? What about standing up for our Anglo-Celtic core culture that's always made Jewish people feel welcome in this country and made them the commander of our armed forces in John Monash, a Chief Justice of Australia in Isaac Isaacs, and a Governor General in Sir Zelman Cowen? This was once a country where we celebrated Jewish Australians. And now it's a place where not only don't they feel safe, but they are also, in fact, not safe. They are not safe. We're on our streets. Their lives are at risk.
How do you explain that to your daughters?
This time I couldn't really explain it. You know, she said to me, I'm scared. And previously after the attack on our former home and things like that, I could tell her it's okay, we're safe. I can't say that anymore. We're not safe. If Jews get slaughtered on Bondi Beach and body bags are piled up at this place, we're not safe.
And as we know, if you know your history, if Jews are not safe in your nation, no one is safe. This is where we are tonight in Australia. After we mourn the dead, let us all use our grief and our justifiable anger and rage to force change, not just with this Prime Minister, but the others that come after him and our governments of the future. Because to turn around this hatred, it will be a fight for more than just one term of Parliament. We must overturn some 3 or so decades of immigration policy, where we have brought into this country hatreds that have no place in Australia. What about upholding and celebrating our Judeo-Christian ethos?
Was that it?
September 14, 2025 will be marked by history as one of our very worst days.
Okay, she's just.
But it
Go
is
ahead. Yeah, she was just repeating herself.
Well, it wasn't, but it does continue on for a little bit. But she wasn't. Well, you know what? She was closing. She was 3 seconds from being done. She was on her closing. But if you looked at, I actually pulled that off of my Facebook. She is one of the ones. Now, did you hear her say it's been a problem for 3 decades? It's been growing. That's what happened for 4 years. For 4 years, whoever was running our fucking government tried to make up for 2 or 3 decades of what they've been doing around the world.
Yeah.
That's why they were flying them in, rushing them in as fast as possible. They tried to do in 4 years what has already been happening for decades.
Yeah.
And if they get back in here, they'll try to finish it up. And that's what I was saying about Europe, the EU. They're breaking down the borders. They've got all the illegal immigration, trying to turn it into one country. They're trying to turn it into one big world.
Yeah,
They don't want sovereignty. They don't want borders.
it's actually a lot worse. They just found like last week. Actually, yeah, it was last week. In the Mojave Desert. Oh, I guess you would say a training camp. They're testing out bombs, and hopefully, I would be in high alert for New Year's if you're going to a big city. And this is for everybody. If you're going in a big city for New Year's, possibly Christmas, a lot of stuff happens on Christmas in certain places. They just shut everything down. But New Year's is a big event for everybody. They're testing out bombs. It's already been proven. The FBI found a couple of people that were doing it. That was the ones they could find. I don't want to be do fear porn. Okay. But I do want people to be ready. Don't go out there and think and get like stupid drunk. Enjoy yourself. I love people having enjoying themselves, but be mindful of everybody around you. If something doesn't feel right, just go away. And I'm saying this as a person that cares for the people. It's getting a little bit more scarier than usual out there, from the stuff that I've been picking up on certain people that have been talking to me. And it's just be prepared. Hopefully nothing happens. I hope with the bottom of my heart that nothing superficial happens this New Year's like it did last year. But yeah. Be vigilant, everybody.
I won't be able to be vigilant.
Why not?
Because we're going to go where we have gone many, many, many years in the past, probably the last 2-3 years, except for a cruise we were on for New Year's. Hard Rock Cafe in Tulsa. Hard Rock Cafe in Tulsa was really good during COVID because they didn't shut down during COVID, didn't require masks, COVID, everything, jam-packed wall-to-wall people. We did New Year's up there during COVID.
Is that 2021 or 2020?
Both probably. I mean, that's why I went up there. Downstream casino never had a mask mandate.
Okay.
But anyway, I do highly, just to stay on that for 1 second, I do highly recommend, if you want to save some money, go to the Hard Rock in Tulsa, because you go to the other casinos in Oklahoma and you have to pay massive, huge fees to get in their showrooms where they have the actual party going on. And in Hard Rock in Tulsa, it's all free. The main showroom, I'm there, 14,000 balloon drop, largest, I think, in the state of Oklahoma, maybe. They have bands playing all around, and it's all free. One other thing on the the invasion and the immigration. Here's what I picked up in a comment section in the UK. The UK has the same thing going on, the immigration. And this was under one of the YouTube news videos I watch. Someone said, "Trump, please invade the UK, remove Starmer, and put ICE in the English Channel."
Yeah.
Well, the French are sending illegals into the UK in boats, and now they're bringing drugs with them.
I mean, the French never really liked the UK, United Kingdom for the longest time, or England, if you want to go that way. I mean,
but they're
been butting heads for a long time. It was the main reason why the French helped us out for the Revolutionary War. But anyways, Texas news. Let me get this started.
I'm Mary Canada, whose old social media posts are telling a completely different story than the one he's telling voters today. Cal Morris is running as a Republican against State Representative David Lowe in House District 91. He has a long trail of posts where he attacked Trump, mocks Republicans, and praised the Obamas. He even called Trump delusional, defended the impeachment, and accused Republicans of narcissism. He slammed Trump over COVID, criticized the Paris climate withdrawal, and questioned whether Trump was misusing taxpayer funds. All at the same time, Morris praised Obama as more presidential and called Michelle the best first lady, applauding her compassion and leadership. Now, it didn't stop with Trump. He attacked Ted Cruz, praised Mark Cuban for going after him, mocked Republican members of Congress, and complained that America's two-party system wasn't working, all before deciding to run as a Republican himself. And after these posts were exposed, the account suddenly went private. Funny how transparency disappears right when voters start looking. If you're running in a Republican primary, voters deserve to know, are you a conservative or just borrowing the label now that is convenient? Let's talk about a Texas Republican.
Yeah. And that actually happens a lot, especially here in Texas. If they can't get the Democratic vote, then they'll go for the Republican Party and they'll try to get votes that way.
She speaks annoyingly fast.
I had it on speed, so.
Oh, you did? Really? Oh, if you watched Trump's address, his address last night, night before last. Oh shit, days and nights get mixed. Anyway, people said his cadence was fast. Yes. And there were some theories about it, and then the theory was confirmed. Yeah, he had a certain set amount of network time. He stayed on prompter. He stayed on it to get it all out, but toward the end, he hadn't sped up enough. So if you listen about the last 5 minutes of that press conference, he starts talking really fast because he needed to get through. They had like 20 minutes of network time.
Okay. Whatever on that one. And just to figure out if the funds were misused for the Ukraine-Russian war, we find out.
Just for saying out loud are now being admitted in the pages of the New York Times, no less. The Times investigation this week found that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's government had embezzled hundreds of millions of dollars sent to Ukraine from the United States and Europe. The Times reported that the Zelensky government rewrote company charters to limit the government, keeping it in control and allowing hundreds of millions of dollars to be spent without outsiders poking around. Members of Zelensky's inner circle laundered $100 million from the state-owned nuclear power company Energoatom. I am old enough to remember when pointing out that Ukraine is a deeply corrupt country got you slammed as a Putin puppet. For 3 years, asking why the American people should be forking over billions of dollars with zero oversight to fund a war on another continent when we have our own problems here at home and we could instead be pushing for a negotiated peace was considered a Kremlin talking point. Even pointing out basic facts that would help end the war, like the fact that Crimea had already been annexed by Russia 8 years before the war began, got you labeled a propagandist for Putin. But now it can be said, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. It wasn't the only one of its kind this week. The Times had another piece entitled How Biden Ignored Warnings and Lost Americans' Faith on immigration. The open border that the mainstream liberal media denied even existed for 5 years is now being written up in the New York Times, which found that Biden and his closest advisors repeatedly rebuffed recommendations to address the border crisis, resulting in millions and millions of illegals pouring across the border and turning every major American city into a border town. It can now be said, of course, we already knew that because we saw it with our own eyes, but that didn't stop elite progressive media and the Democratic Party from gaslighting about it, denying it was happening and smearing anyone who pointed it out as a white supremacist. So why the 180 now? Well, it's simple. Until the Democrats can prove, or at least pretend, that they've moved on from the Biden era failures, they know they will lose national elections. Hence the pieces blaming Biden. They're a good smokescreen for the fact that the Democrats don't actually have a compelling agenda on immigration, and that most Democrats truly believe that our economy, like the households of rich progressives, requires an indentured servant caste of illegal labor to keep prices down. Unfortunately for them, Americans want a closed border. They believe in hard work and good wages. They're sick of funding other people's fights that have nothing to do with our security and prosperity. They're sick of being fleeced, whether it's by Somalis in Minnesota or Ukrainians in the Zelensky government or millions and millions of illegal migrants who came here and sucked up billions of dollars in social services.
So, yeah. So what do you think about that, Bill? Bill, you're still muted. Bill's trying to figure out.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out new toys. Trying to figure out new toys.
Yeah.
But
yeah, all the stuff we've been saying for like a good couple of years. I mean, they took I think there was like the $100 million one. I was like, oh my God.
well, I've got something I can read on that.
Go ahead, Bill.
This is something I kind of co-wrote. The EU froze around 210 billion in Russian central bank assets after the 2022 invasion, mostly held by Euroclear in Belgium. Because of legal constraints in their treaties, they couldn't outright seize the principal. So instead, they've been channeling windfall profits, the interest and earnings, about 5 billion annually to support Ukraine's military and reconstruction needs. This has already funded things like weapons purchases and loans. Ursula von der Leyen and other EU leaders have been pushing hard to unlock more from these assets. They've floated ideas like full seizure or using them as collateral for bigger loans, but they faced pushback on legality. In one attempt, they tried to vote on extending the freeze or tapping deeper, but Hungary, under Viktor Orban, who's often blocked pro-Ukraine moves, vetoed it. To get around this, the EU recently used emergency powers to make the asset freeze indefinite, bypassing the need for unanimous renewals every 6 months, neutralizing Hungary's veto threat. They're trying to get rid of the veto threat of EU and make it where one country can't veto, like it is under their charter now. This is part of a broader push to reform EU foreign policy voting, moving away from unanimity to qualified majority to avoid single country blocks. Enter Trump. His team has notified the EU that any peace deal should incorporate the return or negotiated use of these frozen assets as leverage. This aligns with reports of his broader plan where Europe would handle much of the post-war rebuilding investment, potentially using some of those assets. And here's the bombshell. The EU hasn't just sat on these assets. They've effectively collateralized the future profits back to massive loans for Ukraine. Back in June 2024, the G7 agreed on a $50 billion loan package repaid over time from the assets' earnings. But most recently, they pushed through another $105 billion two-year loan for Ukraine's defense and budget though they backed off using the frozen assets directly for now due to legal hurdles.
Wow.
The setup assumes the war drags on indefinitely or Russia loses outright, keeping the frozen assets and profits flowing. If peace happens and assets get returned, those profits dry up. The loans would need repaying from EU budgets or taxpayers, exposing institutions like Euroclear to legal risks and balance sheet holes. Some analysts warn this could trigger a forced accounting event, straining the EU's financial stability. Think credit rating hits, investor flight, and even broader fallout, like Italy demanding its gold back from the ECB. Russia could retaliate by seizing European assets in Russia, where exposure is high for banks and industries. Bottom line, ending the war in Ukraine could destabilize the EU's war financing model more than continuing it. Peace might mean Europe eats the bill while the US just steps back.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And in Italy, I can't remember exact details on it, but Maloney and Italy did just pull back on some of their funding. So Italy sees this coming.
I'm curious. I'm trying to figure out financially crash. The EU financially crashes. There we go. European economy would broadly survive but face disruption and uneventful impact. If the EU is dissolved, those countries would retain their high advanced economies and would, but
they don't want the EU to dissolve, though. They want it to combine. They want the countries to combine. And if you watch, I watched this at about 3:00 this morning, a new speech by, if you want to see it, go to YouTube and look for von der Leyen to leaders, decide Ukraine funding now or risk Europe's future. Watch that video and see how she talks about Europe banding together and the United States.
So basically it would dissolve because they wouldn't have enough money. And the country was like, oh, you pay your bill. We're out.
Yeah. Look, read the comments in there, and you'll get people who say that basically their sovereignty should end and they should form one big country. There's that. And then there's the Trump is supporting all of the people that are conservative. So you get the in the comments, the support from those people who are like, she needs to be in jail. She's not an elected leader anyway, but she runs the EU.
Well, here's some news what we just talked about New Year's Eve. And this is coming from again, Newsmax. A couple of countries are, and these are major companies, Australia, France, Germany have now all canceled their New Year's celebration. It all has been canceled because French government has no longer kept its citizens safe from radical Islam terrorists. I'll go ahead and listen to the video. It's 3 minutes long, so bear with us, please, everybody.
Spectacular event, and it has all been canceled because the French government can no longer keep its own people safe from potential radical Islamic terrorists that they have welcomed into their country. Think about that. France has let in so many Middle East and North African migrants that they can no longer assemble in crowds. We're watching one of the most beautiful countries and cultures in the world commit suicide, and this threat has now spread all over the West. This is not singular to Australia or France. It is everywhere now, including in Germany, where many are too scared to go to the country's many famous Christmas markets because they are now so dangerous. They're such a target for radical Islamists. Take a listen to the details from this report.
Terrorists have struck 7 European Christmas markets since 2014, 3 in France and 4 in Germany, all carried out by men of Muslim or Middle Eastern backgrounds. Authorities arrested 5 men suspected of planning attack number 8 in Germany last week. One of them, a Muslim cleric from a German mosque who urged his followers to kill as many people as possible.
Yeah, attack number 8 foiled. There was another attack in Poland on a Christmas market foiled as well. The one in Germany, a Muslim cleric that left Egypt to move to Germany, moving to a country which tolerantly allows him to work at a mosque, to have a mosque. And what does he do when he gets to Germany and he's saved by the West? He begins indoctrinating other Muslims to murder as many Christians as they possibly can. Going to a German Christmas market at this point is a bit like playing Russian roulette. Is today the day that one of our asylum seekers living off our tax dollars is going to plow his car through this market and kill 20 of us? We don't know. In Australia, where 16 were murdered on a beach this past Sunday, many say that they have felt the threat skyrocket as their own government imported tens of thousands of migrants from Muslim countries. The Muslim population doubling in a decade in Australia. The left-wing Prime Minister of Australia, the Labor Party, a country that has the strictest gun laws in the world already, just wants to add more gun laws, light a candle, and move on.
Light a candle, put it in their front window tonight at 6:47 p.m. to show that light will indeed defeat darkness. I'll take to National Cabinet this afternoon a proposal to empower agencies to examine what can be done in this area.
Being led by people that couldn't care less if you live or die, completely detached.
So yeah, like I said, be prepared. Hopefully it doesn't happen in other locations. You still didn't get, I was doing a meaningful little speech there and
well, so was I. It was on the Paris when I pulled it up, the massive midnight concert that drew a jubilant crowd of 1 million people last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Paris fireworks New Year's show drew, 1 million people. And it has been the most beautiful in the world for 6 decades, has been scrapped and replaced by pre-recorded video to be viewed in the safety and comfort of French living rooms. Hong Kong is canceling theirs.
Hong Kong?
Their big Victoria Harbor, Hong Kong fireworks.
Wait, before you go through with that, isn't Hong Kong now part of China now? I'm the only reason why I'm saying this is because I think the British government gave back Hong Kong to China, right? I don't think it's their own country.
No, it's not. I'm just reading. It's very odd that so many places are canceling their fireworks. And what a tax would they be looking for there?
The sad thing, China's like gotten rid of most of the Muslims in that country. And they're trying to get rid of Christianity too, because communist China, you're only supposed to believe in the state. But yeah, that one surprises me.
And we will not be using Chinese fireworks for our 1776 celebration.
Nice.
Evidently, Japan has some higher quality fireworks that bring out the colors more. Certain colors at fireworks shows are more expensive than others. Mm-hmm. That's why some cheap fireworks shows you look at and go, yeah, that's not so colorful. Well, evidently, whatever Japan uses, or China is what everyone thinks of with fireworks, but whatever Japan uses, they have higher quality fireworks.
Yeah, because they have a little bit more radioactivity in their stuff. Bong. There we go. You used the wrong. You need to get the wrong button, Bill.
Yeah, I had to turn robot off.
All right, but anything
That
else?
would be good.
That would be good for an AI discussion.
Yeah. Anything else, Bill? You got one more thing.
One more thing. Which one do I want to do?
You got to do a little bit more research on it.
No. I've got three things. I've got the Canadian lumber, beef prices, and the press conference today where he had the pharmaceutical industry on. Probably the pharmaceutical industry is one of the newest ones. And
pharmaceutical.
yeah, Biden had done his little, pharmaceuticals, I'm lowering prescription drug prices for Americans. Oh, wait, he never said Americans. He said for Medicaid and Medicare. Every single time he went Medicaid, Medicare. It wasn't to help all Americans. So people are saying that as far as on the negative side about what happened, well, Trump reversed with his executive order, he reversed Biden's plan. Well, not exactly. He put a freeze on it because Biden's only helped Medicare and Medicaid. He didn't reverse any of the prices that Biden had already negotiated, but he froze his plan until he could get his in place that would reduce prices for everyone. They've been other countries. We pay like 600-800%, over 1,000% more for prescription drugs than they do. So, we got socialized medicine. Well, yeah, pay our price for drugs and see if you can still keep that. So he's getting First Nation status where we're going to be closer to their drug prices. And I looked at the timetable. And see, direct to consumer sales. He's got his Trump RX, and there's a bunch of negotiated prices. The one that really gets me is how my sister was trying to get on Ozempic, and Ozempic was going to cost her like over $1,300. And I found the timetable on it, and by starting in mid next year, they are getting Ozempic down and putting it under Medicare for a $50 copay for Ozempic and Wegovy. Unfortunately, I cannot tell my sister the good news that she's going to be able to get this drug that she's really wanting because she's late stage 4 TDS.
Oh, really?
So I can't mention it, even though I would love to be able to say, hey, look what Trump did. You're going to get that $1,300 drug that you can't afford and haven't been taking because you can't afford it for $50.
But she probably have a heart attack.
Okay.
So that it? Bill? Oh, Bill, you messed it up again. Oh, Bill. All right, you got a couple minutes. You got 30 seconds. No, Bill. So we're going to cut the show now because you can't. And he hurt himself when I said cut the show, not you cut your hand. You ready to cut the show, Bill? Oh, man. Okay, I guess we're going to cut the show. Okay, everybody. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all. Did it work?
Hello?
Oh, you did something, but it's echoey now. We're going to cut the show, okay, Bill?
Yeah, do it.
All right, everybody. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. I'm David Dickerman. That's Wild William right there. Thank you all for listening. Goodbye.